Hey everyone, I'm Brian. You're watching Build a Place channel. In this video, we are going to be unboxing, setting up, and operating this Echo CS-3410 gas-powered chainsaw. It features a 34.4 cc engine, and I bought the model that had the 14-inch bar. You can put a 16-inch bar on this, but I wanted a small bar because I use this a lot for doing high work and just topping trees. Let's see what we got in here. Should have a chainsaw, bar, chainsaw head out. It's fairly light. It's what I wanted. Something I could do high work with. The on the bar side, the 14-inch bar comes with the organ chain, has the wrench for the chain tensioning, and the spark plug chain. There's a complete owner's manual in a couple different languages, I guess. We're only interested in English for me, so I can't speak anything but that. Got operator's manual, and this is mission control for, talks about the missions for the chainsaw. I don't see any, I guess you can register this online. I'll have to look into that a little bit, but it has a 5-year consumer warranty and a 1-year for commercial. So if you use this commercially, it's only good for a year, but if you're using it for basically for consumers or every homeowner, you get a 5-year warranty on it. So let's get started. I'm gonna put this mission stuff in here. Need to look at the manual, see how we assemble this thing. Okay, I looked at the instructions, and the first thing they want you to do is to remove this cylinder cover. So we just basically put the screwdriver in this latch, pop these two ends off, and the cover over the cylinder comes off fairly easy. They want you to remove the spark plug before you do any of this. So just pull that out the side, and then let me double check and make sure. Remove this sprocket guard nut. So we're going to take these two nuts off with a supplied wrench. Making sure I'm not missing something. I'm keeping the book open. I want to make sure I do this right. Oh yeah, I went off camera for a little bit because I wasn't figuring this thing out very well. And I think there may be a typo, or just maybe me, because I'm not the best reader in the world, but it tells you to remove this, the guard nuts, and remove the sprocket guard. So we'll try to do that. But because the guard lock is on, is activated, it won't come off. So they tell you, tells you 2 steps below to unlock it. So I want to unlock it now. So when I unlock it, that makes this guard free. So I think maybe there's something that I'm seeing wrong, but basically, you have to have it unlocked before this thing will come off. So I don't know how you would have got that, removed that sprocket guard with that lock. If it's unlocked, it's back this way. Okay, so now we'll get the chain in the bar. We'll put that on. This is a nice little chain. A little bit. I'll set the bar on first. That's the way I normally do it. I don't know why I'm doing things just on camera. Teeth facing away or coming to you. I like to put it over the sprocket first. I guess that's the way you almost have to do it. Then put it in the grooves of the bar. And there's a post that sticks out. You want that post to line up in the bar for adjustment purposes. So you gotta make sure that's in the right place. It should probably be midways or something less than midways right now. So make sure that lines up. I think I'm going to adjust that. We're going to adjust it back. So to adjust the back, just put a screwdriver in there and we'll look. It's going back, going counterclockwise, loosens it up. So then clockwise, tighten it up. Looks like it's close. It's close, it's in there. And I always like to put the guard nuts on next, just real loose. And for me, I like having the saw sitting in its normal resting position, tighten it up so the chain falls flat down, so the chances of it getting in the groove is better. I usually put my finger underneath it a little bit. Turn this clockwise until it's just a little bit snug. And I'll put just a little bit more tension on the guard assembly so it tightens the bar assembly tighter. And then I always lift up on the end of the nose and look for the tension. I'm going to leave it a little bit loose for break-in purposes. So I'm just going to leave it. That's probably a little bit tighter than what I want. But the chain is going to stretch. Chain will stretch a little bit when you first run it. There's a torque rating on this, but I'd like to not to get way on the end of try to push all my weight here. I try to keep my thumb here and just keep a little bit of tension because it don't need a lot of tension. So now we can lock the chain again. Well, when it's unlock it, I don't have my gloves or rag would do this, but basically see how free everything is. You want to use your hands because if it gets caught somewhere, you can get your nice cut on your finger. So that looks pretty good. We're gonna, let's see, it tells us, well, we know we gotta put the spark plug back on, and we gotta put the cylinder cover back on, and latch it in with the two latches. I'm going to lock the chain down. Because they want you to latch the chain when you start it. So you latch the chain, two latches back up, chain's latched. It's not a general practice for me to fuel any saws or any engines inside, but since I have my camera set up, I'm going to fuel the saw inside here. So I'm going to use that funnel. This saw uses 50-to-1 mix of fuel. I bought this just ready to use mix. Normally I mix my own, but for this, I'm just going to use this ready mix 50-to-1. The housing for the fuel and for the oil is translucent, so you can see from the side how much fuel you're adding to your reservoir. So that was the gasoline goes on that. On the orange cap, the black cap is for your oil, for your chain oil, so I'll have a separate funnel for that. And there again, that also has a translucent. Be able to see this better outside, I think. So hopefully I don't overfill it because I can't see it very well inside with the light. But if you're outside in the sunlight, you'll be able to see right through this tank pretty easy. Now I can see it. Just a little bit more. I'm going to overfill it as I normally would do. So put the cap on. So we're ready to take this outside. We're going to definitely take it outside and start it. So we did have the chain that's locked. So let's take this outside and we're going to start it up, run it a little bit, then we'll do a little bit of sawing with it. I have some groundwork I got to do, and then I have some high work that I'll be cutting today, trimming some limbs off the trees up pretty high. So we're going to see how it works with that. It's kind of a light saw. It's got a little bit to it, but I think it'll work good for topping trees and for me, if I bring a tree down, a lot of times I just want to take the top limbs out, and then I'll use the small saw and take the limbs out, and then go back to the big saw and cut the logs out of it, or firewood, whatever we make out of the tree. So let's get this thing ready to start, see how it sounds, how it runs. We're starting the saw. I'm going to start it on the ground. We're going to make sure the chain is locked, so that's forward. We're going to pump this bulb for 3 to 4 times to get fuel up into the carburetor. We're going to pull the choke out all the way. I usually put my foot in the handle like this to start it, and we're going to try to attempt to get this thing to start. It made a little pop sound, so we need to push the choke in all the way. Hit the trigger one time so that it doesn't have a high idle and burn up the clutch. So we can turn the brake off. Brakes on. There's a little bit of break-in period for a new saw. Should let it run a little bit. Don't put it under any load. You want to make sure, the other thing is you want to make sure the oiler's working. So, turn this off a minute. So, I want to make sure the automatic oiler is working. So, what we need to do, we'll lock this back up, and we'll take and let it run for a little bit, and we'll see if it spits oil onto something. We gotta unlock that. I'm going to use that leaf right there to see if I see any oil splashing. There's no use trying to cut anything without oil. There, I can see I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of oil residue on this leaf now. So you can see that the automatic oiler is working. We'll look at the chain from the side. Chain's got a little bit of slack in it now, so we'll cut just a little bit with it, but it will be easy. Oh, let me turn this off. We'll do some cutting with this, being a little bit loose for now, but we will be easy with it. I'm not going to go into anything real tough, and then I'll come back and make an adjustment, because that chain's going to stretch just a little bit, and then you'll just have to do routine maintenance on the chain to keep the tension right. But overall, it's doing pretty good, so let's go up and do some cutting. Well, I did a little bit of soling, and this thing seems to work really well for basically groundwork, trimming limbs, and then I did a little high work with it, and it's not that bad of a weight of a saw. It has a pretty good speed with it. It was easy to start up, even when I was up in the top there. I wasn't yanking on it a whole bunch of times trying to get it to start. So overall, I like the saw. There's one thing that I don't like too much but I can deal with it, is the stop is a momentary stop. So when you push this button down, it'll stop the saw, but when you let that up, you can start the saw again. So you gotta be careful in that there's not a stop that, keeps it off the whole time, and you're gonna have to either take the spark plug out and not to start, but that's not a big deal. I like the fact that it has the translucent tanks for the fuel and the oil. That works out great because you can just easily see how much fuel and oil you have in. They have a method to use the handle. If the caps get tight, you can take the handle out, and there's a feature they show you how to do, but they want you to take the spark plug out before you do that because it could automatically start. Let's see, one other thing, there was a summer and winter plug. I'll take this cover off. It's set to summer right now. So if you look at the back here, there's a black plug. So you move that, this is in the summer mode now. You would move it, pick it out, not in the rear real tight, but it's snug. And then you would put it back in this position for wintertime use. So that was a feature I've never seen on any chainsaw that I've ever owned. Maybe I didn't look at the instructions that much, but I want to keep it in summer mode because most of my work I'm going to be doing in the summer. I'll have some days that I'm in the cold, but I don't predict that's going to be a lot for this year. So I'm going to have it in the summer mode, put this back on. It's fairly easy to put back on. That is the nice thing about this, just these two clips. Takes this cover off, you get to the air filter, you get the spark plug. May make it easier to do some carburetor adjustment. Yeah, it probably would make it a little easier if you had to go in and do adjustment to the carburetor here with that off. Otherwise, you gotta go through these, these holes here to get to the adjustment screws. Get this back on real quick. Takes me a little bit of time to line this thing up exactly right, but pull the clips out of the way. But it's easy, no tool, just a screwdriver to get in there and pry it. So I'm gonna adjust this chain a little bit because you can see it's got a little drag on it. So basically loosen up these nuts just a little tiny bit. And I'll hold the bar up. And I can't see it very well from the angle I'm looking at, but I'm gonna just bring it up just where it's snug. And that's where I'll probably keep it there. That's where I usually keep my blades at, or my chain at. Tighten this down. They give you a torque rating in the book, but I'm just going to torque it to a light torque. And then take my rag and see if it's got any tight spots. Nothing tight in it, it's going free. It's probably a little tighter than what I would want it. It's just slightly tighter than what I normally run a saw at, and I'll loosen it back up. Otherwise, I'm happy with the saw. My other small saw had a manual oiling system, and I'm too lazy for that. So this has automatic oiler. But that's pretty much it for this video and this saw. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up. I'll be running this saw a little bit here in the next couple weeks. So if you leave comments, I can maybe I'll give you some comments on how much I like running the saw. I got 2 trees right now that have to come down, so I'm going to top them from up above. So I'll be taking this thing up into the bucket of the lift and taking the tops of the trees out before I drop them, because they're real close to a building.